Hey guys, welcome back to Fully Defined. My name's Chris. This is the Build and Learn series where learning builds and SolidWorks skills come together. And in this episode, we're doing the rear wing assembly of our off-road buggy. That rear wing assembly is steps 58 to 65 of our instructions, and it comprises 8 parts. Some of those parts we have already created, some are new. They all have little details in them, which we're going to recreate very closely. Let's get started. Okay. What's next? We have a rear wing to build. Awesome. All right, first one is a new part. Okay, so we've got this part here. We're going to save that as a 1x instead of the 1x2. We're going to create a configuration which is 1x2, which is the size of the reed, and then a new one which is 1x6. And now this 1x6 configuration, we're going to change this dimension to 32 plus 15.8, 32, 47.8. Let's see if that's correct. Yeah, nice. That works. The only detail we need that we don't already have on this part is the little pinholes on the bottom. They are 3.2 with a slight hole on the inside. They have spacing, it's 5 of them. We're not going to set up the full configuration for this part. We're just going to do what we need to. If we need to make different sizes of this tile, that's when we'll come back and change some configurations. Because for now, like the 1x2 remains without dots. The 1x6 does have them. And then that's that part done. We can introduce a 1x, and that has that current configuration there. That one's done. Next file. Okay, another one of those, and then a part here, which I think we may have created already. Show white bracket. We've done a similar one. Fairly certain. We did the inverted version. Let's find it. But around here, you're not quite. And look at our parts list again. What was it called? Bracket 1x2. We can go for a filter and look at bracket, see what showed us. And these are the parts that we have made that are called brackets. The closest one we have is this one here. So if we open that one up and then go back to what this is a bracket 1x2 with a 2x2. This is a bracket 1x2. We're going to add another configuration, 1x2-2x2. And go okay. And this will be an interesting little modification. So we will change this sketch to plus 7.8 for this size only. Okay. Now it retains the fillet, so there's no difference there, but these holes change as well. So whereas before they were in the middle, I'm going to have to go back and fix that first in the original bracket. So in this version here, we need to change these so that they're no longer using the middle dimension like this. We actually have a dimension from the top for them, which is 4. That's fine. And the midpoint still remains vertical. All right, so when we go to this one, they're in the same place. All we can just simply do is a linear pattern coming down the edge with that 8mm gap. And then the part is done. Another quick one. Good result. Errors. What's going on? We have to fix some errors. So, error on this one. Okay. All right. This one has a pattern to it. We could say we want to do a mirror. And the faces we want to mirror are these ones. That should be okay. We still have errors. No, that's good. All right. Exit isolate, and we can insert that part. Now, where was it? Yeah. 1x2-2x2. There we go. And the assembly instruction is to put 2 of those long tiles down and put one of these on the end. Are they going upside down? No, they will flip back around. So let's keep them upright. Let's do 2 of them like this, and then grab this and put it underneath. So it's going to join to that face, and these 2 faces will join together. These 2 will be aligned. I'm going to suggest that these faces will be together. These ones, and then this one. Okay. Next step, we're getting another one of those carriers in. So we've got these 2 down here, flat one there. Let's get out the rest of the parts. So we've got one of those squares, 2 of these clip things, another one of these, long green one, 2 green corner ones, and then there's 2 black arms, which we'll do last. That's everything. Yeah. Okay. They're all our parts. So we've done step 59, step 60, 59 and 60. Yep. So I'm going to put one of those underneath, and then another 4 points in the middle. See another 2 of those underneath, and then we're mirroring the whole thing. So I think this is I think we can use the mirror tool on this. All right, so we've just been mating these parts here. I've got some of the parts aligned using the right plane. And we're going to use a distance mate between this face and this face, putting in the dimension of 0.2 millimeters to get those to line up. And now most of that part is now actually fully defined. Just minimize these folders here. All right, so everything here is together, which is fantastic. We can move on to the next step, which is a long green one underneath. So we'll grab this plate. We're going to turn it into a 2x6. I'm going to use a mate tool to make that face to the top. And then, unlike the other ones here, I can actually use these circles to align. And then the face, make sure that stays lined up. And you can see our spacing here is all looking pretty good. Okay, another one done. All right, we're going to do these triangular parts on the sides. A line wedge plate 3x3 with a cut corner. Now, we've already done one part that's kind of like this on the sides, 4x2. And could we do a smaller one that has a corner cut? Yeah, I can see it here. This plate, 2x2 with a cut corner. Well, now we have a 3x3 with a cut corner. So why don't we use this 2x and change it into a 3x. Here we go. Save as. I'm going to save as a copy. Save as a 3x. Copy and open. I'm going to have to rename a lot of the configurations. This one, for instance, is going to be 3x3 to the cut corner. All right. Now it's the only cut corner 3x3 plate we're doing in this product, so we're not going to worry about the other configurations yet. We'll save them for another time. However, it does mean that I'm going to want to change some things from the start. Firstly, this 15.8 is going to become 23.8. My dots on the top. The pattern of these is going to increase. We're going to not do a circular pattern. Can't do that. Instead, it will be a linear pattern in which we'll be going 8 across and 8 down with 3 instances. Just like that. And what makes it very easy in this configuration is I can just drop the center one right on the middle. And then I need to make these fully defined, and that's done. There's my 3x3 plate. Now let's get to the cut corner. The cut corner on this occurs what looks like halfway between these two lines. So it's not in the midpoint. Change that. These two do remain equal. The distance is more like this. We can measure to check. It's pretty close to 7.8 millimeters, which should be, yeah, right in the middle. What is right in the middle? Let's find out. It's going to be 8 millimeters, 7.9. Okay, that is our cut corner. We're going to delete face on these two. The shell has been completed on the bottom. Now, instead of one hole, we do have three of these, and they're actually in different locations. So again, this one's kind of easier because we can use like a center point between these two to find where this one needs to go. And then we can use this to do a linear pattern, the same as before. Then we can skip this instance on that side. All right. Now, one difference that this version has, it has a small rib in between the parts. So I'll show you in the video here. You can see the 3x3 where it's cut at the top on the underside. See, there's 2 gaps, 3 of those larger holes, but they're joined with a small rib in the middle. That small rib being the same thickness of the other plastic, which is about 0.8. So we can put that in, not a hole. We'll put that in with just a line between them. So one line there and one line there. Now, when I use that just a line without doing a full shape, I'm using what's called a thin feature, which means you can set a direction one way or the other or both, and then the extrude works in much the same way. Okay, so we get that detail. Then we come here, we're going to do the cut to remove some material. In this case, there's 2 gaps that we're creating, which are 5 millimeters, and they are apart 5.2. So what I'm going to do is move this to here, change what's lining this up. So we want to use the center point of that, and we want to make this line perpendicular with this one, and that should give us the correct location for that cut. Once we've done it in one position, we can just use the existing geometry in a construction line to work out the second one. And then just to double check, I'm going to check the dimension in between. It's actually not that much. So this might be bigger. Still not that much. 5 millimeters and 6.2 apart. In fact, 5.2 it is. All right, so it's going to cut that. And the last detail is there is one more of these. Just going to draw it here, make that perpendicular and give it a dimension, which is 3. All right. That looks great, and that's another part done. Let's bring it in, and let's chuck them on the assembly. So if we flipped it upside down, they'd be pointing up. So the right way around, they'll be pointing down with the square part at the front. Yeah, Okay, so we'll grab this one, gonna make a couple of faces, and then use our circles to line it up. So mirror that, and we have one more part to go for that little sub-assembly. Okay, this last part, this little bit here that we're about to do, quite small. Once again, I'll show on the camera. It's kind of got a few odd angles as well. It does have a little claw, hole on the bottom, and some cuts on the sides. What we're looking at is this black one here, a black mechanical exoforce bionicle thick support. Okay, so let's get into it. I think this is a kind of part that you're starting from scratch. Yeah, there's nothing here that really links it to other Lego parts. It does look a bit odd. It's interesting that you can see the little pips, little bits of plastic on the inside here. You can see them particularly in this model. Those will help to grip stuff if it's fit through there. No, I'm not sure what kind of part would fit in, but they must allow for something. So let's get into it. We do have a good reference model here. Gives an idea of how to build it, so we can start from that. I think we'll build it with this face at the bottom being like the top plane. It's a bit annoying that it keeps rotating like that. So some of these photos, so let's just get straight into it. So new part, top plane, and we'll start with that bottom sketch. Now the bottom sketch actually starts as a square, but it extrudes up at an angle. So instead we will do the sketch on a front plane, and I'll keep it in the middle. It kind of goes up like this, and that's out one side, out, down. Not a very symmetrical part at all. Measuring it's going to be challenging to get super accurate. We'll just use the kind of info that we've worked on previously. 6 for the width at the bottom. And I'm just starting with this bottom section here. So like 9.4, 9.6 for that. At its widest, it goes up to like 6.8. It's not that big, but it is a little bit bigger at the bottom. Neither of these faces is straight, but perhaps they're at the same angle. Now, what that means is if I put this in the middle and I put another construction line in the middle, that there's potential for me to select those two and make them symmetric. And that doesn't mean they need to be symmetric in length, but they will in angle. And that just helps balance out that shape. So then at the top, I can say, again, it's hard to measure here, but let's say it's off to one side. Looks like it's about 4.5 from this edge. Okay, so that helps with that dimension. I can see that's a little bit funny there. Maybe I can measure that length of the flat section at the back. Excuse me, about 7.6. Oh, it's longer on this side. It looks longer. Yeah, that's about. If I move around, I can see there's still some stuff happening. Let's just measure that front flex section as well. 7 point. Can't be the same. Or can it be the same? They can be the same. Why not? These two here, horizontal. There we go. It's our shape. Now, is extrude straight out 6 millimeters. So that's going to be mid plane. Then there is there's an offset face, and say it's about like 1.6. So we'll select this face, offset 1.6, the inside, yeah, 1.6. I'm going to extrude cut that down, a very small amount, 0.5 of a millimeter lined. And we're going to mirror that to the other side. Use the front plane to do that. And then the top section actually has a hole that goes all the way through. What we're going to do there is convert those entities, create a new sketch, new dimension from here to here, and then cut it all the way through. Okay. So how does that compare to this? Yeah, pretty close. Now, hole in the bottom, that is just on the tree. Let's make it 3.2. That's going to come up to this surface there. All right, while we're here, let's save the part. Horrible name. And continue on. It's really just the arm on top now, but it's just an awkward shape. I say awkward shape, it's awkward to measure. It's not symmetrical. There's no, at least it's flat. It's at a weird angle. Just makes things awkward. We'll just do our best, though, to guess. We can see that there's a couple of flat faces here, so hopefully that kind of helps. What I'm doing is I'm just sketching, and we'll look at the part, and we'll just put it in for a photo. Come on, there we go. Okay, it's got some round. I'm just going to leave it there while it's like a magnifying glass. Know what I'm looking at right here. Okay, so it's got a straight section up. It's got another angle, and then another line here. Inside this is an arc with what looks like another flat, down, and then 2 flats to join the whole thing. So let's put some dimensions to it. The whole thing, the top face maybe it will be flat, which is good. 18 millimeters. This one here. So there to there, 18. Now this one actually comes pretty much all the way to that edge. In fact, I'm going to put it on that edge. It looks like it's there. So that locks in that point. If I measure that flat face, the rear is 11.2. I'll just bring that around and down. That's going to work. I can't measure an angle. I can try and guess a horizontal distance, how far it moves, which is about 5, and that helps. And then I could say these two faces here, let's say they're equal. It kind of helps, but I actually want full width of this thing, which is 12 millimeters. So from here to here, it's going to be 12. Oh, it doesn't look right, but it is. It's correct. Okay. That means we just need to readjust some of these other segments that we've sketched, which are probably out of position. So the one on this edge here, let's say it's a millimeter from a corner. Can I use the corner? Does it want to let me? Sometimes it can help to just turn on a sketch. That way I can see that sketch and select it. Now the grabbing section, that's the usual, 3 millimeters. So that's way too big. Let's make it 3.2, put that down there. From the end, we've got 3.2 millimeters. Yeah, so I'm well off with some of those details. 1.5. All right, it's starting to get close to fully defined now, and it's starting to look okay. Let's say that these two are in line, so they're collinear and equal, and then all I've got left to do is this one here, and let's give it a dimension of 4. Okay, done. The width of this is 3.2 millimeters. Mid plane is already selected. Press OK. The detail's done. Now it does have a recessed area, and you can see in that inside there. Put that in. That is what kind of removes a lot of material. It's got a bit of a chamfer to it and fillet to it as well. It's about 1.5 millimeters. All right. So we're going to go like this. I'm going to go and straight down, cut in, up, down, and add some dimensions. Parallel, set about 1.5. The same on this side, make it parallel, 1.5. And the line that's going up, there it is. And so it's in line with this point. And then there's a fillet up. There's a fillet in these here and here. Bigger, so that's more like 0.8. Right. Now it is cut on both sides. Where's our mirror? It's here. Let's edit that mirror to include that detail. Very nice. All right, that is done. That is enough detail for that part. We're going to save it, go to the assembly, and where is it fitting on? It is clicking on to the front. So I'm going to insert component, bring it in here, give it a mate, and do what we did previously with the width mates. Select 4 faces, outside, outside, inside, inside, and then mate. Okay, that's done. Mirror component, and let's add our materials. So we have some lime green parts that will go to this one and to the outsides. We have its black part, which is this one. Then we have some white, which is everything else. Sorry, there's a dark green on the inside. This one's white, this one's white. And dark green, copy, and apply. Excellent. Now, we notice in our mates, if they're mirroring, that one hasn't worked. Let's identify it's that plate. Where we go to the next screen and we see plate 3x1 down the bottom. We can just flip around, and I'm going to assume we're not going to find the right version. So I'm going to remove it from the mirror components, and we'll just put one in manually. Whoop, grab it, put it over here, flip it around, and what do we want to do? We want to put top plane to top plane, and then front to front. Nice. All right, where's this whole thing go? On those red pegs at the back. All right, so we'll find out if our mates once again line up. So looking at these here, we can see that this part to this part, the center line between them is 24 millimeters. Now, this hole to this hole, look at that, 24 millimeters. So this should actually work first time. When I select that face and this face, concentric, I'm getting an error. Let's over-define the assembly and see what happens. What's causing it? I wonder. Now, I'm looking for in my mates here is, well, let's try some things, hey? This mate that we just added before, the width mate, why don't we change that to be free with constraints? Press OK. And we do that, and then our error's gone. It's just giving it a little bit room to move, maybe to one side, so that it can now be in line with this. And that's perfect. Now let's see what it looks like when it fits on. So I'm not sure if those, if they poke all the way through or not. A little bit fiddly. Now I'll show you what I'm doing here. Okay, just trying to get this section on, those two red ones. One, yeah, quite fiddly. Have to line them both up at the same time, and then just push down. Okay, they're on, and I can see it actually go all the way through. You can see that little red dot there. They're pushing through. All right, we've got that made on. We just, so we just moved up to that face. And check out this. That moves. Awesome. Saves. This is looking really cool. Really happy with how this is coming along. We are up to we're on the home stretch, would you believe? Hey, thanks for watching all the way to the end. Really appreciate that. This has been the LEGO Build and Learn series by Fully Defined. If the next video has been released, it'll be on the top link to your right. Please hit the thumbs up and subscribe, and leave a comment below with what you'd like to see next. Your feedback is what motivates me to provide more content. See you in the next one.